Here's my Stewmac build kit. I'm playing with bracing and what bracing I'm going to use. I ended up going with the standard X brace, and that's what the kit recommends. So that's which way I went. Here I have tape marks around where I'm going to stick the braces. This way when I peel it up, it'll clean up the glue around the braces. There are the bent sides that came with the kit in my homemade little jig. Just making sure the body fits right together, because you do have to true up the sides, and you do have to true up the mating surfaces, top and bottom. And that's what the braces look like glued up on the left. That's the bottom plate. And there's me clamping the body together, at least the side panels. And again, more tape. That way when I put the braces in, I peel that up. It just makes for a cleaner and less cleanup afterwards. You can always chip out the hard glue afterwards, but this really, it's a little bit more setup time, but you end up with a cleaner project. And that's me clamping down braces any which way I can. Every time I do it a little different. This is what I had at hand, and it did a good job. And more pictures of the clamp up process. There's the fretboard. I actually taped it down to my little workspace here and doing fret work. So you basically cut the fret, which you can see laying on the board, and then I tap it in with a hammer, and then the fret press on top, I make sure to do that so I can get a nice clean press and a consistent fret press all the way along the board. And here we are, putting the top, I guess you would call it inside binding, purfling, I'm not sure what the technical term is, but that was that with all the little clips. This is the neck that's supplied, and what I'm doing is just sanding it up on a flat counter because they never come true. There is a chisel, and I am tuning the top by carving the braces down. If you don't carve the braces down, it'll still play, but it rings a lot better and has a lot more sustain if the braces are a little thinner. That's a top view down into the braces, and that's the top. Right now it's not glued. I am just dry fitting it, making sure I got everything fitting correctly. And there I am leveling off the body by rotating it over the sandpaper until I get everything nice and flush. And you can see where the body's going to sit against the bottom plate in my little homemade jig, because I have it glued up. And I found doing it this way, where the glue sits down, you get less glue on your sides, as where in the past I've had a lot of scraping and cleanup to do after the tops, and doing it this way I get less issues with that. There's the top and the back all bound together with my rubber bands. You can use clamps. This is what comes with the kit, and the little jig I made with the little hooks on it seems to work really good for any size ukulele. There she is, all put together, all squared up. Now I just need to trim the sides, because it comes an 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 inch big on all edges, so you need to be able to clean that up. And you can use files. Some people use X-Acto knives, and I've tried all that with varying success. But what works for me is sandpaper, sanding drums, and I don't have a lot of other tools, but I do have a Dremel, and that comes in really handy with this ukulele kit. And that's an old piece of guitar neck. It's mahogany, and I'm sanding it down to make sawdust. I use it as wood filler to grain fill the top and back. It's a mahogany top, mahogany body. So yes, whatever stain I'm going to use, which is true oil, I'll put the sawdust on and sand that into grain fill. Here is the top with the bridge, and I'm setting the angle for the neck. The neck is just dry fit right now, and I want to make sure that the angle of the neck is right. That way the action doesn't sit too high. And you can see the ruler is flat on the fretboard, comes just over the bridge. That's about what you want for a good action ukulele, or guitar for that matter. Setting the center, I want to make sure that the neck all the way through the body is nice and center. That way the strings sit nice and center over the hole. And my neck did not come center. It was technically skewed to the side a little, so I've got a little chisel, and I'm just working it down to make it sit flush. And I got a little sanding block there to make sure I keep everything squared and true. And that was one of the ways that I was able to file one side of the neck to get it to lean the angle that I want, was sanding side to side on the neck. And the tape to the right is to make sure I don't sand off that side. I needed to sand the other to make it square on the neck. And that's a doweling kit, and this makes the ukulele so much easier to build because you don't really have to think. It's got little press pins that put holes on the body exactly where they need to go without having to do any real measuring. It's like an $8 kit. It makes life way simpler. And the neck joint will go in. You can see the 2 holes at the top. And you can add more if you wanted. That's how easy the kit is, and that's the drill laying up against it. And I actually put bigger dowels than what comes with the kit. The kit comes with pretty small ones. I put a little bit bigger ones. I just feel safer that way. That shows you the gap and the dowel before I press it all the way in. And again with the tape, this is so when I glue it all up, it just makes cleanup a lot easier, a lot less chiseling after the fact. There it is, all glued up, all glued and ready to press together. And every time I put these things together, I seem to do it a different way. I got a big long clamp on the bottom of the heel, and then I got rubber bands to pull it in, and I just clamped it down with one clamp with a little side piece of wood. And it works great. It works good for me anyways. That's a piece that I made, a triangle piece of wood, and I use that to make sure that I get the strings and the bridge in the right place. I'm able to slide the bridge forward and back underneath the 2 strings that are at tune, because I put the tuners on the neck to do this. And this way I can slide it to where I can forward and back and to where I can get perfect intonation. And there are measurements, you can measure it, but doing it this way, I know I'm guaranteed it to play perfect. I put 2 little tacks, I cut them just to leave a little barb there, and that way when I go to press the neck in, it doesn't slide around. In the past, I've tried to clamp it with the glue, and they've always slid just a little. By putting 2 little brads in there and pressing it down with a good glue surface, it doesn't slide, and I get it exactly where I want. And that's just showing extra clamps on the bridge, and I got them clamped pretty significantly. Getting towards the end, because here's the True Oil. True Oil is amazing because you can put it on so many different ways. I just rub it in with a cloth. The more coat you put on, the glossier it is, and it's really that simple. I like it because you can put it on thick, you can put it on thin, and put it on thin, many coats, you can get a nice sheen out of it. And if you polish it after the fact, you can actually get a very high gloss finish. That is before any polishing that I've done. This is the kit, and came out quite amazing, and I'm happy.